former secretary to the defunct Inter-Ministerial Committee Against Illegal Mining. But tonight, as officers of the special prosecutor continue to look for him, he has managed to elude capture. With his lawyers filing a fresh process today to set the warrant aside, we have more details on this developing story for you. But tonight, we have also exclusive details to share with you on the work done by Police Investigative Committee concerning the activities of the Inter-Ministerial Committee on Illegal Mining. We are learning that following the broadcast of the documentary Galamsey Fraud by investigative journalist Anas Aremeya Anas, then chairman of the Inter-Ministerial Committee, Professor Frimpong Boateng, wrote to the Interior Minister asking that he tasked the police CID to investigate the matter. 9 individuals, including the secretary to the committee, Charles Bissu, and at least 5 police officers were the subject of this probe. The police concluded that it did not find any of the suspects culpable. It noted, however, that investigative journalist Anas Aremeya Anas had refused to submit an unedited version of the documentary to the police, as well as opting not to assist with investigations. My colleague Joseph Akable has been following up on this story and joins me right now with more on this. First, let's refresh our memories. What exactly was the documentary Galamsey Fraud about?
And so it's a documentary that looked into the activities of the Inter-Ministerial Committee on Illegal Mining. Specifically, it investigated the allegation that members of the committee, security officers, and some civilians were alleged to have engaged as facilitators for a company, one ORR resource enterprise, that was seeking to circumvent lay-down processes to acquire clearance to undertake its mining operations. In terms of the specifics of the allegations that were made against some of the individuals, we know that Charles Bissu was one of the individuals who was alleged and actually filmed on the tape. The allegation was that he was collecting an unspecified amount of money from one Yao Ben of ORR resource enterprise and suspect and the Owusu to enable them go up around the processes that they were supposed to go by and obtain a sticker to mine illegally.
And who were these individuals the CID probed?
And so the first, Charles Bissu, like we spoke about, he is the secretary of the defunct IMCIM. There is also Andy Owusu, a businessman. Obed Osei Boache, also a businessman who is described as a small-scale miner. Apia Hene upon Jimmy, a national security operative. There is Inspector Kennedy Frimpong, Inspector Matthew Ano, Corporal Nicholas Dakwa, Corporal Bafo Ewa, all of the very important persons protection units of the Ghana Police Service, and Corporal Samson Bimpon of the Ghana Air Force. So these are the individuals who were investigated by the police service.
Let's talk about the findings and the conclusions that it came to after the probe.
And so the police found that the ORR Resource Enterprise, a registered company that undertakes small-scale mining, it's also found that its license was valid at the time that they submitted their documents to the IMCIM. In terms of the specific of the allegations, the police noted that, like any other company, they were qualified for a sticker due to the fact that their thing presented was linked to the company's documents submitted. It said the sticker did not qualify or allow the company to go to the field and mine. And none of the suspects, including the suspect Charles Bissu, was found to have circumvented the lay-down procedures of the IMCIM in favor of ORR Resource Enterprise. So the investigations primarily relied on documentary and other sources, as already indicated. Anas failed to avail himself to assist in investigations and also provide a copy of an edited version of the documentary. He said he had already filed a petition with the Office of the Special Prosecutor. Again, the key witness in the case, Yao Ben, was not available to assist the police with investigation. So his conclusion was that based on the available evidence, none of the suspects was found culpable for any offense.
And is this formally before the court as this case is still being tried?
So in this particular matter that you heard from the last part that I read about the fact that Anas had said that he had filed a petition with the special prosecutor. And so the special prosecutor investigated it and concluded his investigation and was on the verge of filing charges against Charles Bissu when Charles Bissu dragged him to court, alleging human rights violations and also asking the court to restrain the special prosecutor from continuing with his investigation or prosecution. So that is the matter that actually was heard today at the High Court.
And the OSP investigations into this matter, any idea what he found?
As far as the OSP is concerned, he came to the conclusion that indeed there was a case for Charles Bisu to answer by way of corruption and corruption-related offences, for which reason its office came to the conclusion that they were going to press charges against him. But the legal processes that were initiated is what has resulted in that not happening.
So there is a file now before the court detailing the CID investigations that exonerates Charles Bisu and the others.
Yes, this particular police file has been attached to the court processes that Charles Bisu has filed against the special prosecutor. In fact, the argument he makes by relying on this document is that the law setting up the OSP does not allow the OSP to do work that has been done by others already. And he makes the point that once the police came to this particular conclusion, it is a waste of resources and amounts to simply abusing the rights of Charles Bisu if he is to be taken through another investigative process again, as is being done by the special prosecutor. It's one of the issues that he raises and has attached the police reports to the files that he's taken over to the High Court.
And let's stay with the issues surrounding the special prosecutor's probe into the Interministerial Committee. We know last week the special prosecutor secured this warrant for the arrest of Charles Bisu. At the time when we spoke to his lawyer, Mr. Bafue, he was categorical that his client will not be turning himself in.
We'll wait to see what they are going to do with the warrant. We'll wait to see. Or they will wait to see what we'll do in the face of what has been exposed. So we are all going to do the waiting game. They will wait to see. We'll also wait to see.
Aware or not, you accept that your client can. Aware or not, you accept that your client can be arrested any minute now.
Oh, of course. I've no doubt about it. But Evans, very humbly and respectfully, I've been in this litigation game for a while, right? I have the spirit of a rat, and I also have the spirit of a cat, right? And Kisi Ejabe was also a consummate litigator, and so he also has the spirit of a rat, and he has a bit of a spirit of a cat. So whilst you are looking for the rat, right? While the cat is looking for the rat, right? The rat is also looking for an escape route, right? This is a language he understands, and I also understand, right? And so, the game will continue. As we speak, there are 3 pending suits against the special prosecutor, right? There are 3 pending suits against the office of the special prosecutor. Why this inordinate haste? That is the emphasis.
You use the word escape. Is your client on the run?
My client has never been on the run. He's a politician. He intends to compete for a political office. He wants to go to parliament. He's on the ground working. Why would he be on the run? What has he done?
So for clarity, your client is not on the run.
Charles Bisu is in Ghana. Charles Bisu has not been on the run. The fact of the matter is that this arrest warrant has been necessitated by an invitation that was made to Charles Bisu.
Let me ask you, as we speak tonight, your client is a wanted man. Will he turn himself in?
No, he's not going to turn himself in, because that arrest warrant was improperly procured, and so we are going to take steps to cure that.
And Joseph, this warrant was secured, or at least we broke this news about the warrant on Thursday. Today's Monday. We checked just before we came on air. The special prosecutor hasn't succeeded yet in arresting Charles Bisu. But we're also learning tonight that his lawyers are taking steps in court now to try and set this aside.
Yes, Evans. In fact, they have filed 2 processes. One is on notice, and so that means that they are putting the special prosecutor in notice, making them aware that on this particular date, we'll be arguing before the court, asking that they set aside the warrant that you've obtained. There's another one that is also without notice, and I just want to read portions of it because it makes the point about whether indeed there is a warrant or not. It says that the applicant was unable to honor the invitation of the special prosecutor's office due to domestic emergency. The applicant was reliably informed that the special prosecutor has obtained a bench warrant from the Kaneshie District Court for his arrest. That deeming the order of the Kaneshie District Court for his arrest made in wrongful exercise of the discretion of the court, the applicant caused his lawyers to institute the present suit invoking the supervisory powers of this court, among others, an order of certiorari directed at the Kaneshie District Court caution the aforesaid order. So he's asking that until the substantive suit that has been initiated now is dealt with, the court should in the interim set aside that particular injunction that has been granted. And I must add that today in court, Charles Bisu was not present in court today.
Because that was a key question I was coming to, because if he's a wanted man, obviously showed up in court, you expect that he'll be arrested, but he wasn't there. So who represented him? Only his lawyer?
In fact, yes, his lawyers were present in court and they handled this particular matter.
And did he explain why he wasn't there himself?
No.
And by the way, one issue of contention has been the petition that gave rise to the investigation. We have heard Mr. Bisu's lawyers claim it may have been authored by the Special Prosecutor Kisei Jabin. What have you found out about that?
So we have been checking with our sources with the OSP, and we've actually cited that originating petition. It's titled Complaint Against Charles Nanaben Bisu and Thomas Andiowusu, Request for Institution of Investigations. And if you go to the bottom part, it has a signature, and the name under the signature is Anas Arembia Anas Tiger Eye PI. We've also cited another letter that was written and is signed by Martin A.B.K. Amid, the special prosecutor, and it's the address to Anas Arembia Anas, and it's a response to the complaint. And so, more or less, the complaint goes in, and he's responding to it, and it's indicating that he is ready, the office is ready and willing to commence investigations into allegations made in your complaint against Charles Bisu. And so, in terms of the documents that we've cited so far, and that petition that was filed at the OSP was authored, at least on the terms of what we have seen on the face of it, by Anas Arembia Anas, who put together that Galamsey fraud documentary.
And they appear to have picked up on this from an epistle written by the former special prosecutor.
Yes, in fact, they made reference to it in the court today, in making the point that there is a pending motion that the court restrains the special prosecutor from investigating and prosecuting Charles Bisu. But before the court even deals with that, they believe that they need a copy of this particular petition because of an article that was authored by Martin Amidu, which they say makes it crucial for them to obtain the petition because it may lead them to raise some issues about the conduct of the special prosecutor in terms of investigating this particular matter.
And Joseph, thank you very much. A lot happening around the special prosecutor's investigations. And he himself had said over the weekend when he appeared before, when he was on News File, exclusively on the Joy News channel, that this is wide-ranging. More than 100 people possibly will appear before him. And every single individual who has appeared before him so far has been arrested, and none, he says, had gone away with the self-recognizance bail. Listen to him talk to something. Lada Yenini.
I told you that the numbers may run in the hundreds. I said that a few minutes ago. The numbers may run in the hundreds, and so far, those who have come before us are in the tens. So it is a list of people who are going to come one after the other. And you keep talking about arrest. Maybe I should go there. You keep talking about arrest. See, once again, the processes with us. We have full police powers. And people should notice this.
Kisei Jabin is a special prosecutor. Well, in the related development, the former Member of Parliament for Manso Nkwanta, Albert Kwam, has sued Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng, seeking a 2.5 million cedis in damages. Professor Frimpong Boateng, in his report to the Chief of Staff, alleged Albert Kwam used his influence as board member of the Minerals Commission to sell concessions for illegal mining activities. I want to bring in right now a member of Professor Kwam's legal team, Vida Jakuma Champon, who joins us right now on the line. Thank you, Madam Champon, for your time here on Top Story.
Thank you very much.
So what's the basis of this action you're taking against Professor Frimpong Boateng?
Well, good evening to all your listeners. We are all aware the report dated 19th March 2020 that Professor Frimpong Boateng authored. And in this report, he makes very damaging remarks about the Honorable Albert Kwan. Among other things, he links him to the Galamsey Minutes. He makes allegations of vote buying against him. He makes allegations of attempted bribery against him. He makes allegations of influence peddling against him. And he makes allegations of underhand sales of goods concessions about him. And we believe that all these things are very unfortunate statements printed about the Honorable Palm, because this is a very respectable individual in the society, a former member of parliament, and even as the report rightly stated, he was also a member of the board of the Minerals Commission. Apart from that, in his private life, this is an astute businessman. This is an author of so many years repute. People who have gone through our basic schools and secondary schools may in one way or another have read from him some of the books he has authored as far as integrated science or general science is concerned. So if you want to print things about such an individual, we believe that it was necessary for the heart surgeon to have conducted his due diligence, to have cross-checked the facts, and even to have invited him to allow him to put forward his side of the story before printing these things about him. So we believe that the statements that Professor Boateng made about Prof. Kwam were defamatory, and they indeed have defamed him. They have brought him down. They have lowered him in the eyes of the right-thinking members of society, and we believe that the court should step in and grant him some damages as a result of the damage that the said publications have made against his reputation.
You said the statements that Professor Frimpong Boateng made. This was a confidential report he wrote to the Chief of Staff, and he's maintained that he did not leak it. In fact, as you have indicated, this was before the Special Prosecutor, the Chief of Staff, has been so since 2021.
You see, in this country, we have the Right to Information Act. So you cannot claim that a certain document is confidential. It may be confidential to you, but if someone decides to apply to have access to it, they may be given opportunity to see it. You don't just write things because you think that it will be limited to only a certain number of people. Whenever you are writing something, you should know, or you ought to have known, that there is the possibility of that thing becoming public. So you ask yourself, if those things I'm writing become public tomorrow, will I be in a position to defend myself? And I think that is what the learned professor failed to do, and that is what is causing the troubles that Palm is going through, and as a result has gone to court, seeking the court to step in and to grant him the relief he's seeking.
But fundamentally, you concede he did not publish this report, as in shared with the rest of the public. And that will be a key thing to prove in court.
He authored the report. So the author of the report is as guilty as the publisher.
Even if he was instructed by the state entity, in this case the presidency, to author that report, and he was doing so as a formal appointee of the president who has been given a mandate to do, isn't that covered under privilege?
If the president asks you for a report, he doesn't say the same people in the report. If even you look at the authority of the Interministerial Committee, they were to vet and verify legally registered artisanal and small-scale mining companies and to regularize their activities. They were to reclaim degraded land and restore impacted water bodies and coordinate activities relating to alternative livelihoods for the youth. These were the things they were supposed to do. The things that he wrote in his report, which of them give a report on the core mandate that they were given to perform? So if you were given a task to perform and you've been asked to give a report about it, you report on the things you have done, the achievements you have made. Things like Prof. Kwam camping delegates and attempting to bribe them. In what way are they related to the core mandate of the Interministerial Committee? The things he wrote, some of the things he wrote were needless, completely needless. Because if you look at their mandate and the kind of things he wrote, you wonder what was the professor writing. We believe that if he had made extensive consultations, perhaps with his lawyers, they would have advised him that it's dangerous to put such things down about people without cross-checking them. Because if you make allegations that a former member of the Minerals Commission acquired several mineral concessions, these are facts you can easily cross-check. You can easily conduct a search with the Minerals Commission, and they will tell you whether the Honorable Joseph Albert Kwam has any concessions registered in his name. If you go there right now, you will realize the Honorable Joseph Albert Kwam never had any concessions registered in his name. So what was the basis for the good professor's allegation? What were the basis?
Considering that
He
this
had
report,
no basis whatsoever to make those allegations against him.
considering that this report has been in the custody of the presidency since 2021 and only came out this year, why are you leaving out the presidency in this chain of custody now that it's gone public? Because many will say, well, if it's not Professor Frimpong Boateng, it must be the institution that had custody of it for 2 years.
Once the issues came up, who had been the person going about from radio station to radio station, TV station to TV station, speaking to the issues? Once the matter came out, if he did not have the intention to make it public, he would have restrained himself from making some of the comments he's been making about it since the revelation of the report. But he's been out there explaining and continuing or perpetuating the allegations. It's already documented. So you cannot expect him. There is a clear intention. You can see that he meant for those reports to come public, and he's talking publicly about them. So we cannot take him out. He is the author, and he has also contributed in the spreading of the falsehood. So he must be held responsible.
Thank you very much. And that's Vida Jakum Champon, is a member of Professor Kwam's legal team. And Prof. Kwam is a former member of parliament for Mansoin Kwanta. And his name was mentioned in that report that was authored by Professor Frimpong Boateng and submitted to the Chief of Staff in 2021. Talking about illegal mining, and we're beginning to appreciate the devastation it's causing, including to the water that you drink. The director of communications of the Ghana Water Company Limited, Stanley Mate, has been talking about this and says the company has been compelled to switch from alum to polymer for water treatment due to the galamsey activities. He explained that the turbidity levels in the water bodies have exceeded 10,000 NTU as a result of galamsey, rendering alum ineffective in the treatment process.
Initially, initially we're using alum in our population, but now the alum is now almost ineffective, and we are now using polymers. We are going beyond 10,000 NTU. I mean, averaging throughout the country, we are around 10,000 NTU, which is terrible. It also has some effect on our staff, because we are using more dangerous chemicals now. They are breathing in these chemicals, and which has health implications for our staff.
Stanley Mate is the Director of Communications at the Ghana Water Company Limited.